I think the missing link was, which I think ChatGPT has brilliantly done, has finally brought it together in a way and made it so that you can now interact with it.
It's brilliant. Like, I was trying to struggle to say how it's not intelligent. And I'll give you an example. I've got kids under the age of 5, right? So I'm really into watching how people learn from a young age recently. And so if you give it information and ask it for conclusions, like, it'll come to conclusions on the information, and then it'll remember it in the future. And then you can talk to it with a lack of context. You can use this and he and that, and it'll figure out who you were talking about previously in the conversation. I'm struggling to figure out, if you put the concept of soul aside, like spirit and soul aside, if you put that over there, how is it not just intelligence?
Again, both you and I come from technology backgrounds. So my immediate reaction was, when I look at it, my brain starts to go and starts to unpack it immediately. Now, yes, I would say I'm not the de facto expert in AI/ML, but I've done a little bit of that. We've all kind of tinkered around with it. So I'm generally aware of what the capabilities are, at least today, where sort of that sits. One of the things in AI/ML that before ChatGPT came out is, garbage in, garbage out. I mean, if you're just feeding their model garbage data, it's not just suddenly going to give you some kind of insights. And if you look at all the popular AI/ML models that are out there, they basically talk about that, right? So they can do some interesting things in how they connect the dots within the data, but if the data is just garbage, everything else that's going to come out of it is not going to be any better. So that's my understanding of AI/ML, that it is not just, this magical thing, black box that is going to spit out some, euphoria type or, some kind of a utopian aspect. Having said that, my view is this. I think back to sort of your thing of, is it sort of intelligence? I think, Joel, what has happened is, like you said, in the last 5 to 10 years, the base has been created. And what I mean by that is, you and I have divulged everything about us somewhere already. I think the missing link was, which I think ChatGPT has brilliantly done, has finally brought it together in a way and made it so that you can now interact with it in a meaningful / real-time way. So there is some technology leap there. I certainly call that out. But the data has already been out there. So what you just said, right, when your kids type in, or as you type in some information, it can actually output a conclusion. I don't know. My first reaction is that somebody probably has already spoken about that conclusion on some forum in LinkedIn or Facebook or something like that. Okay, somebody has expressed their opinion on this topic. Now, it wasn't exactly in the same words in perhaps what you asked, and it wasn't exactly said in the same words that ChatGPT put it out there for you. But I think the general, sense has been out there. That is what got fed into the model. I don't think the intelligence aspect has quite emerged yet. So that's, you see what I'm saying? I think it's still there. It's there in the repository.
Yeah.
And what it's doing is it's brilliantly picking it up at the right time, at the right place, and maybe merging it with other narratives that have been indexed. So it's aware of the context, and it's, it's brilliantly sort of tagging how information is there. I'm losing it sort of in general terms. I'm sure it's been not more than that, which is what AI/ML is. But I still believe that a lot of it is today just based on stuff that's already been said.
100%. It's consuming the collective intelligence of humanity and then being able to query it. But it can also learn, right? And so I was just trying to figure out, with spirit and soul aside, how do you differentiate organic human intelligence from computational intelligence? What is the test, or, in law, you have to meet certain requirements for conviction and things like that. Like, what is the attribute that defines the difference between computational intelligence and human intelligence?
I think if you think about what AI/ML is, and as you just said, it can learn, I think the lines are going to get blurry. I think we're already seeing some of that. Like, I come across these sort of these videos where somebody's talking, these snippets, and they tell you by the scenes, well, this was computer generated, right? Mm-hmm. And yeah, unless somebody had told me that, there was no way I was figuring that out, right? So, yes, because somebody may have already said it, so the technology is able to superimpose, map it, put it in a context where a little bit of our own psychology, right? Because I'm sure there's a school of thought on this where, if you, the mind will immediately categorize something, right? Whether it's real or not, based on our experiences. And because now we are seeing things that look real, our mind immediately says, yeah, that is real. The distinction between intelligence and the human aspect of, soul and that innate ability to sort of decide right from wrong, just as one of the examples. I think the lines are going to get blurry because it's going to play with our mind, and we just have not encountered that. Our mind has not been developed to pause, even when we see something that our mind tells real. We just don't have, I think, that DNA to, even when the mind is telling us that it's real, to pause and then question the mind. So I think, and that could be a little bit of certainly uncharted territory, and I think we'll have to tread that carefully.